What's up, guys? It's me. I'm back with a brand new invention, however that goes. Oh! It's a Christmas episode. Hat!
Falling in love is wonderful. Falling in love is wonderful.
That's better. This hat is insanely tight. The tag said adult. I guess I just have a big head. Actually, I know for a fact that I have a big head. Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays or whatever it is you may or may not celebrate this time of year. This is going to be a very special episode this week. I made something pretty interesting as a special kind of handcrafted gift for my girlfriend, Haley. Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. So a little bit of a story behind this gift that I made for her, and then I'll show it to you. This past summer, Haley and I went on a pretty big adventure together. We decided to take a vacation for about a week and a half. I think it ended up being about 2 weeks that we were off work and stuff, but about a week and a half. What we did was we drove from where we are currently in northern Indiana, and we hopped in my car and we drove all the way out to New York City in New York. We stayed there with a friend. His name is Evan. Shout out to Evan. He did a great job at taking care of us throughout the weekend. After spending a few days in New York City with Evan and exploring and having a good time, we took a trip up to Maine. Yeah, I know, it's a very long drive. I really love big cities. Haley really loves nature and national parks. So we drove up to Acadia National Park on Mount Desert Island in Maine. And we went on our first camping trip together, just the two of us. I mean, this whole vacation drive trip that we took was already the first time we had done something like that together. We've been dating for 4 years, and that's the first time we had done something like that big of a trip, just the two of us. But it was a lot of fun, and we climbed a mountain. I've never climbed a mountain before. It was non-technical climbing, but if anybody's familiar with Acadia National Park, I think it's called Precipice Trail. People have died on that trail before. It was a very important experience that I had with her that meant a lot to both of us. And we plan on taking more camping trips like that in the future, but that one was our first and kind of a milestone. So the gift that I made her is this. It's just a black box. Inside this box, I have 3D printed a miniature model of Mount Desert Island, the island that the national park was on, where we went camping, where we had all of those amazing experiences. These were the mountains that we went on trails on, that we climbed. Somewhere up here was a shop. It was an ice cream shop, but they had blueberry ice cream, and she absolutely loved it. Also, somewhere up here was where we had lobster that was caught earlier that morning at the deck below us at the restaurant. This little dot, this little red dot right here, I placed that approximately where our campsite was. I put a decent amount of work into this, a decent amount of planning. I learned a few new things while I was putting it together. I will go ahead and go into a little bit of a description of how I put this together, and then I will put the finishing touches on it and get it wrapped up. So basically what I did to create this gift, I actually found a website where you could download elevation data and topographical map data from Google Maps. I don't remember the name of the website. I'll try to figure out what it is and I will add it in the description of the video. The site to download files was not really super accurate. There were a lot of gaps and holes in the model that I had to try to fill in on my own. That was definitely a very difficult task. And then I took the whole model and I stretched it upwards to give more definition to the mountains and to give more space on the between the shore of the islands and the water. I then sliced it and 3D printed it. This was my first 3D printing attempt. If I can figure out which drawer it's in. I printed it on the bed flat like this, and as you can see, one of the corners peeled up and it made a very nasty chunk of plastic right here, and obviously that was not ideal. Also, I didn't like the quality of the surface of where the water would be, and I really didn't like the quality of the surface where the mountains were going to be, and they ended up printing just way too short. So this was a failure, but it was a learning experience. I took it and I printed it like this. I added a raft around the bottom so it wouldn't peel off the bed, but I took it and I printed it flat on one side like this, and surprisingly enough, it came out really, really nice. I printed it in blue PLA from See Me CNC on my Orion, bought from the same company. With the raft holding down the corners and the edges on the bottom and the 0.1 layer height that I was printing it at, it turned out really, really nice quality. I had some finishing work that I had to do. I did some sanding, added a couple layers of filler primer to kind of fill in some of the gaps, and then I did more sanding. I wanted to have a good base color, and I didn't really have any brown spray paint. I did a little bit of work on this at home and a little bit of work on this like on my lunch breaks at work this week. I actually, at work we had this Uline brand tan colored masking spray paint. It's a matte tan paint. I sprayed that on and it ended up looking great. Great base coat, I loved it. You can actually still see a little bit of the tan around the edges of the island, kind of on purpose. So then from there, I took just regular old acrylic paint. I just put on layer after layer. I started with the dark green, went on to the light green, then I put the dark blue down on the water. I put some light blue on the water, light tannish brown on, I just kind of like spackled it, like smushed the brush onto the surface to give it a nice kind of textured dirt look. A little bit of white around the island and on the ocean to add kind of like a water effect, make it look like some water was moving. And then I put the little red dot on. And then I gave it all a nice coat of a semi-gloss clear coat. After that was dry, the whole thing was complete. Then I needed to create the box that goes around it. Now for the box, I went with a very, very simple method. I actually used this foam PVC board. I believe this brand that I have is called Paylite. It's essentially just Sintra, if you're familiar with that. Measured out the size and everything that I wanted for the box, kind of eyeballed the walls. I'll just take one thing and I'll make a measurement off of that, and then everything else will be built around that. Trusty X-Acto blade and some just kind of quick measurements. I then glued it all together using just regular CA glue and glue activator because I'm impatient. And the method that I used to kind of clean it up and make sure that the edges were all flattened together, I just hit it with the belt sander. I just took the two halves and I would tape them together, just do the size that I hadn't taped. I would just kind of push them up against the belt sander and get a nice clean edge. Now you'll notice in the videos that I'm showing, I actually put a little bit of tape on the bottom as I was painting it, and then I peeled that tape off. I wanted the box to be about this thick, but I didn't want the island print to seat all the way down at the bottom. I wanted it to be raised a little bit. So I taped off a little section on the inside so I wouldn't get spray paint on there. That way I had a nice clean surface to make a little box as a standoff. Held the two pieces together with some tape, marked where I wanted the hinges to go, placed the hinges. I didn't pre-drill holes or anything. On the top of the lid I snipped the inside of the screws. So then I actually had some of this, it's upholstery vinyl that's actually used on dentist chairs. I cut a piece of that out that kind of matched the inside of the lid, and I used some Super 77 spray adhesive and glued that in just to give it a really, really nice kind of textured liner on the inside of the lid. Now there are just a few small things that I need to do to finish this up, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it. I actually printed a picture that was taken of us by another couple that was on the top of the mountain of just after we completed our first trip up the mountain. One of the mountains that are in this box. Well, I mean, the mountains aren't in the box, but you know what I mean. I'm going to crop this, I'm going to cut this out. I'm going to tape it to the inside, that way she can remove it later if she wants to. Just some regular Scotch tape isn't going to hurt this at all. And then I also have a short little note. It's personal, I don't really want to read it on camera. I will just kind of tuck that in there. It's funny, she's actually texting me on my phone right now while I'm working on this project and while I'm recording the video about it, and I'm ignoring the text messages because I'm busy working on this video, but she has no idea. Alright, picture's cut out. There we go. Actually, I think that added a whole new level to it. I think that looks awesome. I think it looks awesome. I love it. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it in some tissue paper first, just because I just finished painting this earlier today and I don't necessarily trust applying pressure to this closed lid and it possibly sticking and ripping some of the paint off. Actually, it feels pretty dry now, but it still feels a little, everything's dry. It doesn't feel tacky, but there's just something about the inside of this lid here that just kind of wants to stick together. So I'm just gonna put some tissue paper. Where did that note go? Ah, there it is. Put the note in here, and then I'm gonna put the tissue paper kind of in between the two layers here, in between the lid. Actually, I'm gonna put the tissue paper here, and then I'm gonna put the note. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so it's all wrapped up. I really, sincerely hope that you end up liking this, Haley. She has agreed to allow me to take a reaction video to her opening this. Here goes nothing.
I've never opened a gift on camera before.
I just hope you like it. Just be very careful when opening it.
Smell your paint.
Oh, I hope that the paint isn't like still tacky.
Those aren't wireless, are they? No? Does it come with a wire? Okay.
Just be careful because there's paper between it too.
Okay. Can I look at the box?
Yeah, go ahead. You should just be able to open it up though. Hopefully the tissue isn't like stuck to it or anything. It was stuck a little bit, but that's okay. You don't have to read it right now if you want to, if you don't want to, but you can.
Well, it didn't go to Karen.
You printed this?
Hand painted it too. Do you recognize what it is?
Yeah, I know what that is.
I was afraid you wouldn't recognize it.
You tell.
Thanks everybody for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Good Lord. This hat was so tight. Ugh. Whew.
Falling in love is wonderful. Falling in love is wonderful. So they say. So they say.